And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Danny Cannell. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Barton Simmons. I'm Chip Patterson. Week 12 locks. That's what you're here for. That's why we've gathered together today. A slate that has been losing some games, even as recently as the last hour as we sit here and record late Thursday morning on the East Coast. I went light last week, and so I feel like I'm bouncing back. No discipline here. So let's dive right into quick recaps of, I think, the first losing week for the Syndicate. The Syndicate went 13-14, no one over 500. Tom, 3-3, lock war loss. I was right there with you in the field of battle as we were just overtaken by Iceman and Maverick. But you get wins with Northwestern with your double play, both the under and Northwestern to cover. And then Baylor, Texas Tech, just a windy game that was able to deliver for you as well. Baylor doing its part. Lessons, takeaways, what's on your notepad coming out of that week?
Well, I appreciate your revisionist history, but this is not the first losing weekend for the Syndicate this year.
Oh, really?
This is like the fourth. Nothing major. I thought Boston College kind of hung there for a while. I thought we were looking good in our lock war early. They just, didn't have it for the full game, which probably should have been expected. Other than that, no. Army, I guess, wasn't angry enough because I thought that was going to play a large role in them taking down Tulane, but apparently maybe they were too angry. Maybe they were still too angry at Air Force to realize that they had a game to play against Tulane. Who knows? But other than that, there weren't anything that I felt bad about. It just, you win some, you lose some, and I lost some and I won some.
Just pushing the money around, tip the dealer, and thank him for the entertainment. Barton, 4-4, added 2 picks to the card, but still a 500 record. You do get the lock war win. You also get a lock fight win, the over Army. And wasn't that a Dennis play as well? Is that just like, oh, yeah. So Ole Miss over 70.5 against South Carolina. That's a lock fight win, a lock war win, and your lock agreements lose in both cases. So don't align with anybody, Barton. You're 4-4. What are your lessons and takeaways?
Lone Wolf. I will say this weekend, 4-4, not a great week. I'm just treading water for the whole season. That's basically the way it's been on my personal card as well. But that said, of the 8 plays, the only one in just retrospect, even though I'm never going to bet on USC again, the only one in retrospect that I just truly regret and just made a horrible play on is that Michigan one. I'll take that one in my grave as being dumb.
By the way, Tom, 40-36-1 on the season. Barton, 43-34 on the season. Chip, light card, 2-3. The only wins, though, I feel really good about just because there was the Wake, North Carolina, that over had cashed midway through the third quarter. Second time that's happened with the Tar Heels this year. And Washington, Oregon State was just as gentlemanly as we would expect with 3 points in the second half?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. Love it. 41-38 though on the season, 2-3 on the week. Danny, 4-4 on the week, up to 44-31. You are still the season leader. You had an equally heavy card as Barton. What'd you end up thinking? What were the lessons and the takeaways?
I don't know. I might have to reevaluate the DK 2-for-1 specials. I don't know. I've been going on the total and the play, taking a side. I don't know. I kind of just went off the rails a little bit with that little sideshow. The moneyline sprinkles have been good for me. So I got a bunch of those lined up today. And then kind of like Barton said, I'm done with Michigan. Dunzo. Don't want to touch them anymore.
All right. You guys ready to lock it up?
Let's do it.
We're picking locks.
My blue plate special 5-star locks are coming.
Since 2005, when Service Academy's
Go get these locks. 5-star master lock. Lock it up.
The under is 33-9-1. We've gone over it a million times.
You want these locks?
I'm living and dying every point, every cover.
So first of all, it is with deep, deep sadness that we're not going to be in Laramie tonight. We would have had a Wyoming home game on the slate to be able to see if it's going to be windy. That game has been postponed. we don't get to do it. Anyone getting in on Tulane Tulsa on Thursday night?
I have a Twitter tip that's already out for it, but I'm not locking it up, but I am on the under because while there isn't any wind in Laramie tonight, there is wind in Tulsa. There's 16-mile-per-hour crosswinds blowing through Skelly Field at H.A. Chapman Stadium on Thursday night. So that's what I would recommend. And the total has kind of been plummeting since this morning. So hurry.
Okay. Fantastic. All right, Danny, that means that it was ties at the top at 4-4, and you've got the season lead. So you've got the honors on the tee box. Where do you want to go to kick us off here in week 12?
Let's go to a place where I think we're going to see a fight because I've been on a couple shows on HQ with one Tom Fornelli. I've been listening. I couldn't be on a couple shows this week. I'm running like crazy. Been listening to some of Fornelli's takes, and I'm getting a little emotional about some of them. I am going to the Indiana versus Ohio State game at noon on Fox, one of the best games of the weekend. And I already know where Fornelli's going. I'm going to take the Hoosiers here. I think the Hoosiers are a good football team. I think they've been tested more so than Ohio State, which I think matters. And I know there's a bunch of stats, right? They haven't beat the Buckeyes since 1987, and they had all these, there's all these historical numbers. Well, guess what? They hadn't beat Michigan in 33 years. They hadn't beaten Penn State forever. Like, this is a special season for them. I'm not calling for the outright upset. I think this team has enough to keep it within the 3 touchdowns. I think they can take it into the second half. I think their offensive weapons with Freifogel and Fillier on the outside will present some challenges. I think there's some big plays to be made. And Ohio State's secondary has not been phenomenal. They've been susceptible to some big plays. And I think Indiana will be able to capitalize on that. So I'm going to take the Hoosiers here and the big number that they're going to be getting in Columbus with no family members there to cheer on their sons.
Oh, Daniel. Fight.
Yes.
Fight.
Yeah, like Indiana did end its losing streak to Michigan, and Indiana did end its losing streak to Penn State. But the thing is, Michigan and Penn State stink. Ohio State is a national title contender, and it's a 20. I'm giving you 20.5. I can get it at 20. I'm taking the Buckeyes. As I've gone over so many times, both here and on HQ, like you said, Indiana is a good team, and it's deserving of everything it has so far, and it's done a really good job of forcing turnovers. It's forced 12 turnovers in its first 4 games, and it has taken advantage of those turnovers, scoring, a bunch of points off them. The problem is that when Indiana doesn't force turnovers, it's not scoring. I've gone over the stat. 37.8% of the points Indiana has scored this year have been directly off of turnovers. Only Purdue's is higher. The national average is roughly 16-17%. Their average distance of their touchdown drive has been 53.2 yards. So literally every time they score a touchdown, they're generally getting the ball at midfield. The only team that's been a shorter distance than that so far this year is Washington. And of course, Washington has only played 1 game. So that's not really a sample size we could use. I look at this matchup, and yes, Ohio State, they haven't been perfect. They haven't been tested, but they're so much better than Indiana at every single position on the field. And I'm not worried about Ohio State's secondary because Indiana, aside from just chucking the ball deep and drawing flags on Michigan's secondary, which is what every team has done to Michigan, hasn't really had much of a downfield passing threat. They struggled moving the ball in the air even in that Penn State game before they finally came away and won it at the end. And this is also, if we look back to last year, Indiana was a team that went 8-4. It was a solid Indiana team. It was pretty much very similar to the Indiana team that we've seen so far this year, except it didn't have big time wins over Michigan and Penn State because Michigan and Penn State didn't suck last year. But that same Indiana team got whooped 51-10 at home by this Ohio State team. So I don't know what has happened in the last year to make me think that 41-point difference in Bloomington is going to be any different this year in Columbus. And I don't see Ohio State turning the ball over 3 times like Michigan State did or Rutgers did or any of those teams did. Ohio State might turn it over once. It's not like they're immune to it. That they do it. They have fumble issues, but they're not going to do it enough for Indiana to hang. And defensively, I just don't think Indiana's defense can stop Ohio State's offense, because I think there might be 2 defenses in the country that are capable of stopping Ohio State's offense, and Indiana just isn't one of them. It's a great story. They're 4-0. They're in the top 10. They've picked up huge wins. It's great that they're in the spotlight. They are going to get run off the field on Saturday by the Buckeyes. Ohio State -20. Lock it up.
Love it. What, Barton, you getting anything here?
No, I will. I was leaning Danny though. I was leaning Indiana, but I'm not. I'm staying away.
That 39% it's a lot.
Another fun stat: ranked underdogs this year, like teams that are ranked and are dogs, are 5-16-1 against the spread.
Throw the numbers out the window, baby. Throw the number. I was leaning the over, but it opened at 62. I loved it earlier in the week. It's up to 66 and a half. I said I wasn't going to do 2 for 1, but I still kind of like the over.
Yeah, you might be on because Ohio State's going to score 55 points, so I like the over too.
All right, Bart.
Indiana scores that backdoor fourth quarter touchdown.
Oh, I'm going to be so pissed off.
19.
it's gonna be 49-30 with like 14 points coming in the fourth quarter for Indiana. I'm just gonna be like, God damn it.
Yep.
All right, Barton, where do you want to go?
All right, before we get into more of the premium headlining games of the weekend, let's scale it back, rewind it to the weeknights. Friday night, the game everyone will be watching, the premier showcase game, Friday Night Lights, UMass at FAU. This is Danny's boy, Willie Taggart. He's coming off a big rivalry win over FIU, playing UMass, not a good UMass team. They're probably pretty well equipped to beat them. I don't know, cover maybe. But wait a minute. Who's the head coach at UMass?
Walt Bell.
Oh, yeah. It's Walt Bell, who was the offensive coordinator under Willie Fritz, who bounced on him to take the UMass job. I mean, reportedly there was going to be a parting of ways anyways.
Kendall Browse was already in the crosshairs for Willie Taggart.
I'm just not so sure how much love is lost there. I suspect Willie Taggart is going to have a better team at FAU. UMass is probably the worst team in college football right now. And if he can put up a big number, I think he probably will. So human nature, motivation, I'm going to go FAU laying what is it, Tom? 32?
33.5.
No, I seen it 32.5.
Where?
Let me see. All right.
I see 33.5 across the board.
Let me see.
Wait. Hold on. I just love the idea that you're willing to do it at 32.5, but 33.5, you're like, whoa,
that's the deal breaker.
Hold on.
Well, I just want to get the best number, because then we're getting up there. We're creeping up pretty high up. Let me find. Go to the next game. I'm going to see where I found that number.
I held a UMass plus 44 ticket earlier this season. Because, you start with the 44-point lead, right? I don't even think they scored a point in the game, and they did not cover. It's just UMass is the worst team in college football, so I'm not going to stand in the way of that, especially if you believe that there's going to be a little bit of bad blood.
I found you at 32.5.
Oh my gosh!
You better thank the. Can I say the name? I don't know if I can. I should.
No, let's not.
All right. I'll text you who you should thank.
Hey, I'll take 33.5 because that's what I'm going to have to play it personally. So give me 33.5.
Okay. I'd like to have my rooting interests aligned right now.
Yeah.
I got it. How about the How about the game of the week in the American Athletic Conference? We've got the Bounce House plays host to college football playoff buster Cincinnati. Cincinnati's been getting better and better every single week. Desmond Ridder, this is so specific. Shout out to sports information directors everywhere, but the statistics that Desmond Ridder has put down over the last 4 games, just this small 4-game sample size, is the first time that anybody has hit those statistical numbers for passing yards, passing touchdowns, and total touchdowns over a 4-game span since Lamar Jackson. So that's small sample size theater. Desmond Ridder equals Lamar Jackson over the last 4 games. So, yeah, I mean, he's taken off. The Bearcats offense has taken off, and it's made them a more well-rounded, complete team. But they're catching 6.5 in the Bounce House against UCF. I'm using UCF's performance against Tulsa, where they really blew that game, turned the ball over, gave away a lead. And I'm sort of drawing together some conclusions about what UCF might be able to be. And I just think that this is going to be a game that ends up being a little bit tighter. Like when I think about all the different results that could happen, a Cincinnati convincing win is probably on the low end of my expectations. You know, they hadn't lost at home for like 21 straight games prior to this season until that loss at Tulsa. And after that, those 2 losses, UCF's kind of clicked back into gear. Nation's best offense. I just think this game's going to be really competitive. It was only a 3-point game last year, and it's 6.5, especially if you can go and get 7. But at 6.5, I think I'm going to take the home dog in a game where I think UCF could win outright. I think UCF could lose by a field goal. I think Cincinnati could win by a field goal or 3 or 4 points. But like a 10 or 14 point Cincinnati win does not seem like a likely outcome. I like my value. Give me the Knights plus the best number I can get.
This was on my card. I'm not locking it up, but I do have some bad news for you in that I'm also on UCF, which you might think is good. It's just, as I discussed on HQ earlier this week, I have not gotten a Cincinnati game right yet this year. Every time I've gone against them, they've covered. When I've gone on them, they've not covered. So sorry.
Well, if the roulette world says that it's got to switch at some point, right? You're due. You're due to get it right. This is I'm fascinated to see what happens. First college football playoff rankings come out on Tuesday. Cincinnati really hopes it's up there, unless it catches an L this weekend in Orlando. We'll see. Give me the Knights.
Okay, I'll go next. I'm going to go to the Big 12. I'm going to go with my lock of the week in the 6-pack. I am taking Kansas State plus 11 at Iowa State. The total for this game is, let me check. I know it's low. I can't remember exactly where it was, but it is. Yeah, it is 46.5. So it's supposed to be a low scoring game, but it's just, so I see that many points in what's going to be a low scoring game, and it becomes more appealing. But more than anything, it's Iowa State to me has been a strange team in that in the last couple of years, it's been like 7-6 and 8-5. But you would look at the metrics, like the underlying metrics, and they would all suggest that this team was so much better than its record suggested. And now this year they're off to a really good start, but you look at the underlying metrics and they all suggest that this team isn't as good as its record suggests. So I look at Kansas State in this spot. I think that 11 points is way too much for this matchup, and it's just some trends, some fun stuff. Kansas State is 7-1 against the spread. Its last 8 Big 12 games is 20-8 against the spread. Its last 28 overall. Meanwhile, Iowa State 2-8 in its last 8 or last 10 home games against the spread. 7-1 the last 10 times is a favorite, and the underdog in this series alone has covered the last 6. So I'm going to take the Wildcats. I don't think an upset is out of the line either, like just a straight up win.
I was close to this one. Someone got in my my Twitter DMs and suggested this game. I think it was actually even an Iowa State person, and I do like it. I lean this way. I don't really trust Kansas State's offense without Skylar Thompson in there at quarterback, but I do like this play. I'm going to stay away though. My Twitter DM recommendations have had an awful record this year. So I don't want to get sucked into that trap.
Did the person then tell you to tell me that I'm their favorite?
I don't know. They might have. I don't know. Seems standard.
Yeah. Evan also reached out to me trying to get to Tom.
Same guy?
Yeah, I think so.
I've reached out
Tom,
to Evan.
just give the guy a follow.
I reached out to Evan. We've talked. But again, it's, when you're as popular as I am, it's dangerous to open yourself up to the public.
Sir, on November, I contacted Mr. Barton Simmons via Twitter application direct message to deliver a message to Mr. Thomas Fernelli. I have not received any follow-up correspondence from Mr. Simmons. I swear this was written by a bot, but Evan is a very passionate fan. And yeah, warmest regards.
Is it the same guy?
Yeah, he sent me a screenshot of his DMs with you.
So we didn't, but he didn't acknowledge that we talked about him on the air.
Oh no, wait, this is a different person, because the person we talked about on the air was I'm not going to name them because they work for a coaching staff, but no, this is a different person.
Oh.
Well,
I have not talked to Evan. Evan, sup, buddy?
Sup?
Thank you for listening. Thank you for having great taste.
All right. What about Bedlam? I'm going DK 2-for-1 special here, because where's the game being played?
Oklahoma.
Yeah. And what do we do when Oklahoma is at home? We go over.
Take the over.
Yeah. Oklahoma home overs. I think best number I can get is 59.5. And when we've got a round, oh heck yeah. And we've got a round 7 that we can get for the Sooners. I think that Oklahoma State's defense, that has anchored sort of the belief in Oklahoma State, is not going to be able to come up with enough stops for this to be anything other than a high scoring 10 to 14 point Oklahoma win. And it's going to get loose. And that's not the kind of game that the Cowboys need if they're going to be able to win, because Spencer Rattler is greater than Spencer Sanders, and the Sooners are going to be able to win this one convincingly. So give me the Sooners -7. Give me the over 58.5. It's a DK 2-for-1 special. Anybody want in?
Lock it up.
I gotta lock it. Oh, what do you want?
Wait, hold on. So which? All right, which?
I said I wasn't going to do a 2-for-1 special. I love Oklahoma here. I love Oklahoma in the spot. I like the over. Let's go all lock agreement.
All right, all lock agreement. Yeah. Which one are you doing, Tom?
Well, we've got lock unity on the total.
Okay, so lock. Oh.
What? Huh? Come on.
So I have lock unity on Oklahoma.
So all right.
Okay.
All right, and
I was not going to play the total, but I feel like as the colonel of the Over Army, I'm contractually obligated to join in on an Oklahoma home over if everyone else is on it.
To infinity and beyond. Infinity.
Wow.
That was a whirlwind.
So we've got a lock unity and a lock infinity on Bedlam. Really, really putting the Bedlam in this game. It's living
I gotta
up
be
to
honest. I am a little scared of the over. I'm a little bit scared about Oklahoma's offense being able to keep pace. Obviously, their defense is equipped to keep this thing from being just a total shootout. But I can't leave you guys hanging on that one. So, but no, I'm fully on I'm confidently on the Oklahoma side here, because I think Oklahoma is hitting its stride right now, and Oklahoma State is kind of hanging on.
Some fun numbers though. Let's see. Over the last 12 years, the average Bedlam game has featured 74.8 points per game. The over is 7-4-1 in those 12 meetings, but of course, the total is usually higher. The average closing total for those games was 65 points. So this is pretty much a touchdown lower than the average total. And I do think that it should be this low because of the way Oklahoma State's defense has played, but Oklahoma State's defense hasn't played an offense like this yet. So yeah, I think we're going to safely get the over here. I think this is lock infinity for sure. We're going to be great.
So Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, it is one of the games in the CBS Sports College Football Pick'em Challenge. We've been telling you about it all week. Here's the way it works. cbssports.com/college. If you want to enter yourself, you pull it up. You've got the card. You put in your answers for the winners against the spread for Saturday's biggest games, and you are entered to win the $1,000 weekly cash prize. You can also join as a group if you want to compete against your friends or your coworkers. So if you want to get in on Clemson, Florida State, if you want to get in on Florida, Vanderbilt, the Ohio State, Indiana game that we just mentioned, UCF-Cincinnati, Wisconsin-Northwestern, Kansas, Iowa State, Virginia Tech, Pittsburgh, Kentucky, Alabama, and of course that Oklahoma State Bedlam game. They are all on the card. You pick every game listed against the spread and you enter, and it costs nothing to enter, but you get a chance to win the $1,000 weekly cash prize. Of course, also you can organize a group. You go to cbssports.com/college to enter. Once again, that is cbssports.com/college to enter. The contest will be open until noon on Saturday, so get those picks in. Who wants it?
I'll go. So as a former dog cast, the Dogs have a big one this weekend against the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. The big news, obviously, is JT Daniels taking over the reins as Georgia's starting quarterback. The line in this one is 25 points. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Do you believe that Kirby Smart even wants to cover this spread? Do you think that Kirby Smart wants to win this game by 35 points?
No.
Hell no. Hell no. That would be a nightmare. It would be an absolute nightmare if Georgia goes out here in the first game under JT Daniels and puts up like 42 and wins like 42-10. That would be a nightmare. And so what's going to happen? JT Daniels, he may rip off a couple big throws. He might be the answer at quarterback, but they're going to try to keep him on a leash. Even if there's an alternative theory here where JT Daniels isn't that good and there's the same Georgia and whatever, but I think you want to try to keep him on a leash, shorten this game, win by 20, get out of there and call it a day and say, you know what? Decent first start knocking off the rust for old JT. He's going to get better. We're going to be better offensively next week. No chance they want to go over 25. And Mississippi State has got a good defense too. Now, I know they're down. Did you guys see this? They have got 54 scholarship players available without COVID issues. Like, that's not even a COVID-related issue. That's basically like everyone's transferred the hell out of there, and just 54 is like their new count. So all these teams that are like, saying
Missouri is like kind of close right now. They're at like 54, 55.
Right.
Like,
but there's this
Mississippi State, not that.
There's this new standard. Like, if you can't meet the threshold, then it's a no contest and you can back out of the game. Well, Mississippi State, if this was just a normal year and Mississippi State had all these transfers and they're down to 54, then Mississippi State, are they allowed to just have a no contest because they have so many guys transfer in a typical season? It's insane. All that said, the principle remains. This is a Mississippi State catching the points because Georgia is going to be very content winning by 17 points.
I can get you 25.5.
All right.
Wait, what was that?
What was that? Yeah. The crying baby?
Just gross, disgusting. Good luck.
Can I get one while I can get it at the number I think could change?
Sure.
I'm going to go to the Big Ten. The Wisconsin Badgers taking on Northwestern. Both teams, pretty stellar. Wisconsin comes back. Impressive win, beat down against Michigan. We talked a lot about what it meant for Michigan. Peyton Ramsey's coming off his best game as a quarterback at Northwestern. He had 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, very clean. I think Wisconsin is the significantly better football team. I can still get it at 6.5, right, Tom? I can lay 6.
Yeah.
I want to get it before it goes up to 7 or 7.5 because I think that's the trend where it would go. I look at Wisconsin, and yes, a lot of that was Michigan is bad, but I look at the complete nature of Wisconsin. Really, really solid on the defensive side of the ball. Graham Mertz didn't even have to do much except hand the ball off. They had 4 guys go over 65 yards rushing. The typical kind of dominant ground attack with a little bit of balance mixed in. I think it was conservative by game plan because they didn't have to use Graham Mertz. If they do want to use him more, I still think that option is there. I still think this offense is more dynamic. And I think Northwestern is good, but I don't think they're as great as their record maybe says, or the odds makers have it here. So I'm going to take Wisconsin and lay the 6.5.
We are fighting in one Big Ten top 10 battle, but we are friends in this other.
All right.
No.
No.
Jesus, Chip.
Hey.
Chip. No, Danny and I are friends on this one. It's lock unity because I agree. I think that, Northwestern, if you look at their stats offensively, a lot of them are still somewhat skewed by that game against Maryland. But if you break it down game by game, their offense really hasn't been nearly as prolific as it had been in that first game. Now, it's still miles ahead of what we were seeing from it last year, but it's kind of just evened out back into that old traditional kind of Northwestern offense where it's like they do just enough to get by and they rely on their defense to keep them in games and all that kind of stuff. But I don't think that this is the kind of matchup where they can do it. I do think that Wisconsin, like last week, my biggest question about them against Michigan was how rusty or, were they going to look after having so much time off and missing so much practice time. And even though they were still missing a lot of key players, they didn't really look bad at all against Michigan. Graham Mertz was rusty to start the game, but he kind of got into the flow as it was going on. But by the time he kind of got in his rhythm, Wisconsin didn't need to really throw the ball all that much anymore, and they were more content to just kind of hand off and run all down the field on Michigan and get a big win. So I think going up against this Northwestern defense, it's going to be the toughest test the Wisconsin offense has faced thus far. But I still just don't trust Northwestern enough to think that they're going to be able to keep up for 60 minutes. I think this is a 10-point game, not a 6.5, 7-point game. Plus, Wisconsin on the road as a road favorite under Paul Chryst, 16-4 against the spread. Shout out to Chris Felica for that stat. Also, Northwestern in its last 11 games at home, only 2-8-1 against the spread. So I think this is the one where Wisconsin's going to win it by about 10 points. So if I can get it, especially before it gets to 7, for sure, we are lock unity on this one.
I'm not playing this game, but I would be nervous if I was you guys, because Northwestern, there is not a blueprint for how they do it in these close games. They're not going to end up with 400 yards of offense. But sometimes they just find a way to just keep it ugly, keep it close. So I'm not playing it. I don't feel confident either way. I would be very scared of Northwestern.
Yeah, I'm always a little scared, but I'm confident in my decision making.
Let's see. What about anybody got leans in the Sun Belt game of the week?
I lean Coastal, but I'm not playing it.
I'm gonna play Coastal.
All right.
I'm gonna play Coastal. Zach Thomas is one of the winningest starting quarterbacks active in all of FBS right now. A little bit banged up, questionable status. We'll see if he's going to be able to play. I think he does, but still, this is an App State team that they could have been in a total look ahead spot, but I feel like we have not seen the same kind of relentlessness and the same kind of teeth that we have seen in some App State teams in recent years when they're just out there in full, just championship mode. And so Coastal Carolina has obviously been operating at a very high level. They are the home team. And so I will take Coastal minus 5.5. Again, the alarm bells went off when App State had to really, they messed around for a little bit of the Georgia State game offensively. They had to recover and sort of find a new way to get out of that. So the 17-13 result against Georgia State sort of threw me the idea that it could have been a look ahead spot. Maybe they come out fired up and ready, but I don't know if they're going to be able to have the horses to compete with Jamie Chadwell's Coastal Carolina offense. So give me the Chants minus 5.5.
I can't believe you're turning on your own kind here, but I can get you 4.5 if you want.
Yeah, I'll take it.
All right.
It's only from knowing App State so well.
Yeah.
You
turning your back.
I like the way you're thinking.
All right. Who's up?
I'll go.
Do it.
Let's go to the Pac-12, where Washington State is playing Stanford, and they're actually getting points. Okay. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to think about that. But I think Washington State's a better team. I think Stanford has given us no indication that things are turning around. I think Washington State's got some youthful energy, new staff.
Jaden DeLaura
being engaged. Jaden DeLaura, the true freshman quarterback. I think Washington State's a better team. I think the better team's the underdog, and I'll take the better team.
Lock agreement, because I'm also rocking a fade Stanford principle. Like, after getting all my Colorado love called into question, it's like, well, maybe that was Stanford too. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Give me Washington State in the points.
Give me Queen Latifah. Yeah, this is in the column this week. Just some fun stats. You know, like, we think of Stanford, its offense has kind of been, fading in recent years, but the defense was still somewhat decent. That has not been the case this year. Stanford is allowing 3.18 points per possession, which is dead last in the Pac-12, and it's 120th nationally. Wazoo hasn't been a lot better, allowing 2.96 points per possession, which ranks 111th. It's just the difference is offensively, Wazoo's averaging 2.79 points per possession, and that includes a game last week against Oregon, which is one of the better teams in the Pac-12. And Wazoo, it lost the game, but offensively it performed fine. It was just its defense wasn't able to stop the Ducks. Meanwhile, Stanford's offense ranks 78th nationally, is only averaging 2 points per possession. So when you line up the offenses and the defenses, these are two teams with bad defenses, so maybe we should be looking at the total too. But offensively, Wazoo is the much better team than Stanford through the first two games. So if they're going to be the underdog in this spot, and I'm getting points for them for sure. Yeah, no, give me the Cougs.
You guys ever feel like you're always on? I mean, what do you do when you need a moment to just chill out? When you just want to hit the reset button, or you just want to catch your breath? I mean, that Washington State Stanford game is in that Pac-12 After Dark sweet spot where, the instant reaction pod, it'll be going on in the background, it'll be completed. And then while I'm putting in the edits and the exporting it and uploading it for that instant delivery to all the subscribers, yeah, I get to, just catch my breath, chill out, crack a Coors Light, and watch Washington State go and get us this lock unity cover. And that's why Coors Light wants you to know that no matter what game is on, Saturdays are your time to chill. Maybe your specific team isn't even playing this week, but there's still plenty of games on, and Coors Light is the official beer of watching college football. So flip through the channels, find a game, and crack open a Coors Light. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged. It's literally made to chill. It's as crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. It is perfect for a moment to unwind. Coors Light is the one that I choose when I need to unwind. So when you want to hit the reset button, reach for the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light in the new look delivered straight to your door at get.coorslight.com. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Coming up on the other side, more of our Week 12 locks next. Okay. I'm going to keep us in the Pac-12 because Barton, you mentioned sort of stepping away from Michigan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
lock agreement. I think I know where you're going.
sometimes you've got to look at a team, and even if they're winning, right? Like even if they're finding ways to win, you got to know when to step away. And sometimes you find that perfect spot, find that perfect location. You know, it's crisp and refreshing like a Coors Light, that Salt Lake City air. And when you've got Utah catching points at home against a USC team that's not been good, it's been winning, but it has not been good on a down-to-down, quarter-to-quarter basis, I think you got to jump on these Utes. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, give me Utah plus the best number I can get. 3, I think. A whole field goal?
Yeah, I can get you 3.
All right, Utah plus 3.
Now, what has Utah's practice situation been?
I don't know.
I don't know either. That's why it's like I'm not trying to set you guys up with anything. That would be something that concerns me.
Well, there's also the trend in 2020 of teams that have not played a game yet against the spread against teams that have. Mm-hmm. I mean, Kyle Whittingham's had nothing to do but just break down USC film right now. USC's got no idea what to do with Utah when it takes the field. I think you got to get on the other side. You got to take Utah.
Another thing that could help you too, I don't know if USC is going to be ready for this, but current forecasts for this game on Saturday night are calling for temperatures in the mid to low 30s. So we're going to find out.
They ain't going to be ready. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm listen, this is Utah, first time out the gate. They've had some COVID issues. Okay. They're anxious to play. They got a couple weeks of film. Kyle Whittingham, Clay Helton. I mean, it's cold. That's great news. That's great news. Yeah, give me the Utes.
Barton just said lock agreement out the gate.
Didn't even wait for you to, yeah. He just heard you say the word Michigan. He's like, lock agreement.
I know when to step away. All right, let's see. Tom or Danny?
I'll stay in the Pac-12.
All right.
The Oregon Ducks playing UCLA. That game's still on, right? Like some of these games, they've been canceled at such a rate. That's like, man, you got to make sure they're still going on. The Ducks are 2-0. UCLA is 1-1. They just had a pretty nice win against Cal this past weekend. Oregon started off a little shaky against Washington State, but then they dialed it in and got back on track. CJ Verdell has had back-to-back 100-yard games. This is the second time Chip Kelly has been back to Eugene, his old stomping grounds. His quarterback's a little up and down, right? A little bit hot and cold in DTR. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He's only completing 51% of his passes, which is hard to imagine in a very high percentage throw type of system that you could be that inaccurate. He's a little bit all over the map. I think Oregon is a really good football team. I think they, every time out, much like BYU, they want to try to score as much as they can and impress with style points. So spread's a little steep, 13.5, but I'm going to lay the points with the Ducks playing against home against UCLA.
You know, I like you, kid. I got you 13.
Oh, even better.
All right.
Danny, you can be my wingman anytime. Like agreement.
Oh, there we go.
I think Oregon started to get kind of grooving last week, and I think UCLA got an opportunity to pad their resume against a Cal team that was like the equivalent of that Navy team that we saw that first week of the season that just like hadn't practiced in forever. And I mean, Cal was just a mess, trying to just even field a team and have an opportunity to practice and be around each other. So I think that's a false flag there for the Bruins. I think Oregon is going to keep it rolling. I think I'm starting to believe in Oregon a little bit.
A believer. Is anybody going to make a play on the flexed Mountain West on CBS game of the week, San Diego State and Nevada? I will say that I'm fired up for it because Nevada's wide receivers are some dudes, and we know that San Diego State's got a stellar defense. Normally, I'm always a fan of the San Diego State unders, but I prefer them at 10:30 against bad teams when I can just tuck myself to bed with the Aztecs squeezing the life out of the game. And San Diego State's offense is pretty good, so I do not endorse a San Diego State under as I might in another situation, because I think it will be a little bit more high scoring than our usual 42-point totals or whatever. But 1.5, 2 points for the Aztecs as the road favorite. Is anybody gonna get a little frisky with this one?
I want to get frisky with it. Why are you scared of the under? Because it's 46.5. Go ahead and just take it. So we know about San Diego State's run game. Nevada has actually allowed just three rushing touchdowns in 4 games. They've held all 4 opponents under 150 rush yards. They've held 3 out of their 4 opponents under 4 yards per carry. And yet, San Diego State, with the Bell backfield, is going to try to force the issue and continue running the football. Nevada's got a pretty good offense, too. Carson Strong has a cannon. I've really enjoyed watching him play. But I do think San Diego State is pretty good defense, too. I like the under in this one.
All right.
So you're locking it up. Right. Cool. There it is. My next pick. Well, we're on Mountain West. I'm gonna move us to the Sun Belt and an independent. This is not a response to Army not being angry enough last week for me, but I am taking Georgia Southern +4 against Army because this is a battle of option teams. Although the total's a little too low for me to really want to go there, and Georgia Southern's not a service academy, so I can't just blindly go for the service academy under type of deal here. But Georgia Southern is used to facing an option offense in practice every day, so that kind of is gone from it. I've always preferred Army as an underdog as opposed to Army as a favorite. And when you look at these two teams, even when you get to the advanced metrics defensively, they're pretty much equal across the board, in success rate against the run, success rate against the pass, everything. Every single metric I looked at, there was maybe a point or two separating these two defensively. Not quite the same offensively, where Georgia Southern's offense has actually been slightly more explosive than Army's this year, particularly in the fact that Georgia Southern, while it is an option running team, is capable of moving the ball through the air sometimes when it needs to, which is not a facet that Army has shown at any point so far this season. So I think the fact that in a game between option teams, that the one team is capable of throwing the ball is going to give it something of an edge, especially when it's an underdog. I don't know if Georgia Southern wins this game outright, but if I can get 4 points with them, I am not passing it up. So lock it up with Georgia Southern +4.
Dig it. Raleigh, North Carolina.
Oh, what you got here?
Hugh Freeze show coming to town. A lot of buzz. We've done the full cycle where South Carolina opens. Hugh Freeze is the first name mentioned. We've dug a little deeper. We've realized it might not be a cultural fit with some of the administration in place. Now we're already on to Billy Napier, trying to give him that job, as Louisiana is still trying to figure out a way to get through the season, win a Sun Belt title. Liberty's trying to go 3-0 against the ACC, trying to remain undefeated. They got a lot to play for. But, listening to some of the comments from NC State's players this week, I don't think there's going to be anything dismissive about NC State's effort, but no one has been able to really slow Malik Willis. So my play here is going to be on the over 66.5. I don't think Liberty's going to be able to stop NC State. Bailey Hockman's been playing really, really well. They've got that solid rushing attack, and Thayer Thomas, the wide receiver for NC State, has really emerged as kind of a one-man show who can just take over for a possession or two at a time. I like NC State to score. I like Liberty to score. I'd lean NC State to win, but I wouldn't feel comfortable about that because it's going to be a shootout. Give me the over 66.5 for NC State and Liberty.
Over Army, mount up. Nothing else to add. Gonna be a lot of points. Look, I think that NC State has got. I've said it before this year. I think Tim Beck has been one of the best offensive coordinator hires of this offseason, and Hugh Freeze, as we all know, is a genius, a mastermind, a wizard, there'll be points scored. We're good.
Are you getting a cut of his next contract?
I hope so.
Don't spill that. Don't spill that water. Like all right. I've got one, maybe two left.
I've got one.
I got a couple. So let me unload at least one more here. I'm not sure what I'm going to finish at, but here's another one I want to play. And so one thing I'd like to try to keep an eye out for as we get deep in the season here is who is motivated, who's kind of quit, who wants to be here, who doesn't. I don't know if I have the right read on this game, but I like the Pitt catching 3 spot.
Yeah, I think we can get 3.5, right?
All right, so 3.5. This is a defense that can stop the run. This is a Virginia Tech offense that only really wants to run the football. Kenny Pickett is back, played last week. They look sharp. Virginia Tech is having one of the more disappointing seasons, even though they've really not been like unimpressive. They've just lost a couple close games. They've had a couple bad beats. And I just wonder if Pitt's a team that will be more motivated in this spot. And so given the matchup and the way they complement each other here, I'm going to take Pitt as a short dog.
So
so much agreement this week.
I don't even think you need to go bowl season style psychologist on this, because Pitt's really good against the run. And what did we see when Virginia Tech had to start making plays down the field against Miami? I mean, Miami's defensive line dominated against Virginia Tech's offensive line on crucial possessions. It was like holding penalties and Hendon Hooker running for his life with the busted play. I see a lot of that coming back. And I'm sorry that I always just throw it to you and you don't have this up, but everyone trusts you, Tom. Isn't it 3.5 to 3.5 as the Pat Narduzzi sweet spot? It has been profitable if you've got any spreads that are within that touchdown from 3.5 point underdog to 3.5 point favorite. And so, yeah, like, is he going to be someone you want to fade if he's catching 7.5? Yeah, probably. Not great red zone. They love to kick 22-yard field goals over there at Pitt, but catching 3.5 points at home against a Virginia Tech team that just really let it slip away against Miami, I think the Panthers could definitely win outright, and I think they can get us the cover. So I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I'm not locking it up at that trend you mentioned in that tiny little touchdown, 3.5 to 3.5. 13, 5-3 against the spread. Pat Narduzzi is as a head coach.
Because those are the games that he likes to play. 3.5 points here, 3.5 points there. Just tough football games.
All right, I'm going to see if I can get Barton on an over with me to join me. Auburn, Tennessee. I wanted to take Auburn, lay the points, and say this game's going to get – I like that play. It's a little bit too obvious, though. It feels like everyone's on that side. I do think it's the right side to lay the 10.5. But the total here is 50.5, which, of course, is a kind of buyer beware with Auburn. Auburn does tend to take their out, run the football. But I think you're going to see one team that wants to be there in Auburn. I think this game could play out similarly to the LSU game. Auburn won that one 48-11. That was the last time we've seen them. It seems like we haven't seen Auburn in a while. They've kind of gotten a little bit better. They've gotten things on track offensively. Tennessee, I do think they'll be able to run the football somewhat. I think they might be able to put some points on the board. The weather is supposed to be perfect, 72 in Auburn on Saturday. I think the conditions will allow for some points to be scored. I think Auburn is going to win big, and I think Tennessee will score a touchdown or two late to get me the over in this one. 50.5.
I'm not gonna do that with you. You can have it. I will say your reasoning, your breakdown is giving me enough doubt and pause and anxiety to pull off of Tennessee plus the points. I was tempted to play the Vols, Pruitt.
Do it.
If you want, like, I don't think it's
against Gus Malzahn.
I think you're on the right side. Like, if you did, I think you're on the right side. Everybody and their brother right now is on Auburn.
Can Auburn really be trusted?
77% of the bets and 78% of the money is on Auburn. Everyone is on Auburn. If you wanted to fade the public, you would take Tennessee. Kind of
Lone Wolf. How?
Ow. All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right, let's do Tennessee.
Can't trust Auburn.
I like how we just talked right into that.
This is exactly when my gambling goes off the rails. When it just seems fun. Yeah, okay. Like, oh, that sounds good. Yeah. Like that's when things go south. So setting up for a bad week, but okay, let's do it.
My last lock before Moneyline Sprinkles is taking some notes from what we saw from the Washington Huskies. I saw enough tight ends. I saw enough defensive coordinator thinking to believe that Washington unders could be a fantastic play. The USC Arizona game did not have me thinking that the Wildcats are built in a way that's going to really stress the Huskies defense. And if they're just going to continue to play this bully ball offensively, that is going to be great for unders. So give me the Washington under 54.5.
The best I can get you right now is 53.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's gone down.
I'll stick with it, but let's get it in there now. That 3 points in the second half, bully ball, defensive coordinator mindset. I just think that Jimmy Lake is comfortable winning a bunch of games in the 20s this year and maybe for a while, but let's lock it up.
I do like the principle. I do like the theory. My final lock is going to be met with some raised eyebrows. It's going to be met with some, are you okay? I might get another kind of like a concerned parent talking to, like Barton gave me last year when I took UCLA against Wazoo. I'm taking Michigan. This is kind of like a last stand kind of moment for Michigan because they're 10.5 point favorites against Rutgers. And if they can't cover against Rutgers, then it's done. It's all over. So I'm just kind of doing this on the principle of like backs against the wall, because like last week we've seen Illinois this year through the first 3 weeks of the season looking like, one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in the Big Ten. And they went on the road to Rutgers with a quarterback who is an excellent runner, but hasn't really shown anything as a passer, and just ran all over Rutgers, even though Rutgers knew that Illinois was passing. Like even on 3rd and 9s, Illinois, it was like an option team. They were running the ball, QB draws. Isaiah Williams was unstoppable, set a school record for rushing yards from a quarterback, and Rutgers could not do anything about it. Offensively, Rutgers kind of struggled moving the ball against an Illinois defense that had been pretty friendly through the first 3 weeks of the season to its opponents. So if Michigan can't go on the road and beat this Rutgers team, and not just beat them, but beat them soundly, then I think that they are in a lot more trouble than we even realize, because Michigan has won 5 straight in this series, and the average margin of victory has been 43.8 points, and they're only a 10.5 point favorite. If we can't see the Wolverines putting up at least 40 points in this game on Saturday, it might just be time to pack it up and for everybody to go their separate ways. So lock it up with Michigan minus 10.5.
I'm not going to talk you off it.
No. Bart, do you have any more?
I got one more.
I do too. Mine is
You don't sound excited about it. You sound like
I'm not.
You sound like it's last for a reason.
This is a principle. This is a principle play. All right. Because never before in the history of Florida State football have you seen a Seminole team as a 35.5 point underdog in Tallahassee, playing at home in front of 400 people who are going to be there to cheer on their friends and family. I don't even, Jordan Travis, is he going to play? Is it Rodemaker? I don't know who's playing. Half the team is out. This just has to be an effort game. And I can't imagine There's got to be some Seminole spirit, some Seminole fight, the heart of a true champion. Hopefully they read all the slam pieces that have been written about him, including a long-form expose about the 6-year downfall that is occurring in Florida State history. You got to take them. Taking the Noles plus 35.5.
Then a hero comes along.
I mean, are you playing quarterback?
It doesn't matter. I do think you've got
Have they
to
called
assume,
at least?
Yeah.
You've got to assume they're going to try to run the football. Even just bleed out the clock to just ease the damage somewhat.
But it's not even just the offense. It's like defensively, they were outmatched against NC State.
I know.
Florida
Marvin
State.
Wilson's gone. They got nobody left. This is about the youth movement that's about to take place in Tallahassee. Let's go.
Hope is a good thing.
This
Maybe
is a
the best of
principle.
things.
This is like the same as when you saw Syracuse with a plus 46. I have to assume Florida State has slightly better talent than Syracuse. It may not be that much better, but they're playing at home.
The talent, yes, but the availability numbers might actually match Syracuse's FCS level availability numbers. We were talking about 54 players available for Mississippi State. I bet Florida State's starting to flirt with some scary numbers.
It probably is. How do you put out? So Florida State, I'm on the booster alumni, email blast that goes out to kind of let you know what's going on. There is, quote, a victory walk that you can go watch to support the team when they get off the bus from the hotel and walk into the stadium. How do you sell that? I feel so bad because she's a sweetheart of a girl that puts out, a woman that puts these out. I don't know how you seriously say, hey, join us for the victory walk versus Clemson. I don't know. But
This all sounds very wistful, Danny.
It's going to be a victory walk to the cover. No,
we're going to win the walk, boys.
This is not wishful. This is principle is what this is.
All right, Barton, last one.
A lot of principles are changing in Tallahassee these days.
They are.
I will go. Typically, I like to play the dead cat bounce back. I like to play the head coach just got fired. The interim steps in. But when you're South Carolina and your head coach gets fired and you are then met with a barrage of opt-outs for the season of some of your best players, I don't know. This just doesn't seem like a team that's all the way invested in this one. I know Missouri's, they got some COVID issues. Is that right?
Their numbers are low.
I think Missouri is, I just feel better about Missouri in the spot, given, where what they got to play for right now. And kind of the motivation here, and they're a good team. I still think Missouri is a good team if they're healthy. So 6.5, I think, is the number.
Yes.
I would take it. Missouri minus 6.5.
I got one more. Sorry, I forgot. Florida Vanderbilt over 67.5.
I thought about that one. I don't know, man. I can't jump on now, but I fully support it.
That's my last one. Forgot about that one.
I might just personally take a Florida team over, because if people are going to be sending me like home video recorded Florida Kyle Trask highlights all day after every touchdown, I might as well profit off of it personally.
I think Dan Mullen loves the attention that Kyle Trask is getting. It's a good thing. I'm not criticizing him. I think he loves the record-setting performances, getting compared to last year's LSU team. I think he's going to run it up a little bit. I think you could see Florida score 60 again, and I think you could see Vanderbilt get 14. So there you go. Boom, there's your over.
Yeah, I like that play. I would play it, but I feel super uncomfortable with 10 locks on the card.
It's just already a little heavy. All right, that's it. Regular moneyline sprinkles?
Yep.
All right, moneyline sprinkles to review. Moneyline sprinkles. Let's see. Danny currently in the lead, 8-5 on his moneyline sprinkles, up 7.18 units. Tom 4-9 on moneyline sprinkles, up 1.55 units. Chip 4-10, down 0.65 units. Barton 3-8, minus 2.5 units. Danny, what are your moneyline sprinkles?
Is there a limit on how many you can do?
Nope.
Nope.
All right, because I got a bunch this week. And we've talked about all of them, and I was sitting there quietly, like just sitting there. I like Utah to win outright. Like, if I feel like all these games that you guys picked with the locks, like if you're going to play them, I feel like it's worth it just to play the outright winner. Take the money line on these. So I got the Utes playing at home. I'm going to take Liberty to knock off NC State. I'm going to take Washington State to beat Stanford. And then my final one in the CBS game of the week, I'm going to take Nevada as the underdog.
Yeah.
Those are my 4. Unloading.
All right, Tom.
Hold on, I got to finish looking up the numbers for all these. All right. We share one. I'm also on Liberty plus 145.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's all.
Okay, I've got 2. Also, I'm on Nevada, and I'm on Northwestern money line. Sprinkle it.
I don't hate it, especially at 245.
All right, Barton.
I'll go Northwestern as well. And that's all I got.
All right, to review the locks for week 12, Tom is going to be taking Ohio State minus 20. He's got Kansas State plus 11, the over 58.5 in Bedlam, Georgia Southern plus 4, Washington State plus 2, Wisconsin minus 6.5, Michigan minus 10.5. Barton, Utah plus 3, Oklahoma minus 7, the over in Oklahoma State, Oregon minus 13, Wazoo plus 2, FAU minus 33 and a hook. Liberty and NC State over 66.5, Pitt plus 3.5 against Virginia Tech, Tennessee plus 11, and Missouri minus 6.5. Chips card, Utah plus 3, Oklahoma minus 7, the over in Bedlam, Coastal minus 4.5 against App State, Wazoo plus 2, UCF plus 6.5, Liberty, NC State over, Pitt plus 3.5, and the under in Arizona, Washington. And Danny is going to be taking Indiana plus 20.5, Oklahoma minus 7, over in Bedlam, Oregon minus 13, the under 47.5 in Nevada, San Diego State. That is your CBS game of the week. You can watch it on the CBS Sports app. Wisconsin minus 6.5 against Northwestern, the over in Tennessee, Auburn, Florida State plus 35.5. Knowles, find something, do something. Then over 67.5 in Florida. Vandy, moneyline sprinkles. Tom's on Liberty plus 145. Barton's on Northwestern plus 245. Chips on Nevada plus 107 and Northwestern plus 245. Danny, quadruple sprinkle. Utah plus 130. Liberty plus 145. Wazoo plus 108. Nevada plus 107.
Whew.
Feeling good?
It's a lot out there.
We got a heavy card this week.
Lot of action, boys. Lot of action.
And coming in, like when I sat down, I was like, I don't really like anything this weekend.
This week's going to be an absolute disaster for me. I already know it.
Well, you've got what? You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've got 10. Yeah.
I got 10, and it starts with FAU laying 33.5.
I can get you 32.5. This is your last chance.
No.
Okay.
No. I want the big number.
It's such a not Barton play.
I want that. That's a t-shirt worthy. Barton Simmons. I want the big number. You can follow him on Twitter at Barton Simmons. You can follow him at Tom Fernell. You can follow him at Danny Cannell. You can follow me at Chip_Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
See ya.